Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 530 News on KAJ, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Ariana Lake. Critical fire danger is once again a concern across northwest Montana as temperatures hover in the mid-90s. Isolated thunderstorms and gusty winds in the forecast are also spelling trouble for fires across our region. We'll turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost for more on what we're dealing with. Aaron.
Exactly, and that time frame for when most of those critical fire conditions are expected to begin going to be 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon right throughout the day on Thursday. We've got an approaching system that will trigger some more widespread thunderstorm activity tomorrow compared to what we're seeing out there today, but we are still seeing them. It's just going to create way more of an issue for us as far as fire danger is concerned. Again, from the southwest, we are dealing with some instability today, triggering some of those showers and thunderstorms. This will become more widespread throughout tomorrow afternoon and evening. Now we're going to be a little bit cooler on Thursday with breezy conditions behind a cold front. Got the whole forecast though, and all those details coming up.
Thanks, Aaron. If you were outside today, you probably noticed it's getting pretty hard to breathe out there again. Air quality currently unhealthy for sensitive groups in the Flathead. Folks further to the south, they're dealing with much worse conditions, though. Air quality hitting unhealthy in Seeley Lake. It was actually very unhealthy earlier today for folks there and in and around Missoula, including Frenchtown and Hamilton. Residents seeing unhealthy conditions. And of course, we have the fires to blame. 1,000 homes in the Seeley Lake area have been evacuated since late Monday night because of the Rice Ridge fire. Emergency officials say that residents should be on alert and ready to go. Take a look at this map. There are about 1,090 homes and buildings threatened by the blaze. The mandatory evacuation orders are for 1,000 residents as of news time. We have them listed further in detail on our website, but this map helps you kind of get a good look at them. Our website again, KJ18.com with the info. This fire has burned more than 30,000 acres and is 22% contained. The potential for dry lightning and windy weather is concerning crews tonight on the Gibralta Ridge fire burning in Lincoln County. According to today's fire report, officials have not been able to do an infrared flight to map this fire recently because of higher priority fires in the area. Officials say while the fire perimeter has remained relatively stable, they can't update the actual perimeter and acres involved right now. The latest containment, though, was listed at 27% with 5,112 acres burned, about 7 miles east of Eureka. In preparing for unstable weather is the focus also on the Sprague fire burning in Glacier National Park. This fire perimeter is estimated at 1,575 acres. Yesterday did see a small increase of about 50 acres with the fire slowly backing its way down Lincoln Ridge into the Lincoln drainage. To prepare for this predicted unstable weather, firefighters were flown into the Mount Brown lookout yesterday. They successfully secured the protective wrap there, and they continued with fuel reductions around the structure. In national news tonight, President Donald Trump flew to Texas today to see some of the damage Harvey left behind. The storm has dumped 49 inches of rain in some areas. That's setting a new U.S. record. Kenneth Craig is in hard-hit Houston, where emergency workers are scrambling to rescue and shelter evacuees.
Harvey is still not finished with Texas. Rescue crews are working around the clock to bring more evacuees to safety.
There's no way in and out our neighborhood. We can't get food, no electricity. About a day now.
Volunteers and first responders have plucked more than 6,000 people from rising floodwaters. A levee near Houston also breached this morning, sending more water into neighborhoods. A boat got to these people stranded on top of a pickup truck just in the nick of time. Harvey is blamed for at least 9 deaths, including a Houston police officer who became trapped in floodwaters on his way to work.
We couldn't find him, and once our dive team got there, it was too treacherous to go under and look for him.
Thousands of storm evacuees are crowding into Houston's downtown convention center, and tensions are rising.
We haven't had showers in 3 days. It smells in there, it's dirty.
More than 9,000 people have showed up here to the convention center. It was supposed to only hold 5,000. The mayor is now asking FEMA to provide a shelter for another 10,000 evacuees.
We're not turning anyone away, but it does mean that we need to expand our capabilities and our capacity.
President Trump traveled to Corpus Christi for a briefing on recovery efforts from local and state officials.
This was of epic proportion.
The tropical storm is back over the Gulf and is expected to make a second landfall tomorrow just east of Houston. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Houston.
I did just get an update on the latest amount of rainfall on this storm. It has actually bumped up to just shy of 52 inches of rain outside of Houston. In on the world stage, the UN Security Council is holding a closed-door emergency meeting this evening to talk about the latest North Korea missile launch over northern Japan yesterday. North Korea launched an intermediate-range ballistic missile which flew directly over a Japanese island before splashing into the Pacific Ocean 1,600 miles away. President Donald Trump says all options are on the table, but the White House has not said what steps the U.S. will take in response. Back here in the Flathead Valley, a popular campground temporarily closes after a black bear was reported coming close to campsites searching for food. MTN's Nicole Miller has more on the Tally Lake campground closure.
Due to bear activity, the Tally Lake campground in day use area is temporarily closing for public safety.
Over the period of last week, we were hearing reports from campers talking to the Camp Coast about a black bear that had been coming into occupied campsites.
Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks are attempting to trap the bear.
They have a culvert trap, and so they're attempting to trap the bear, that then they hopefully can remove it.
This campsite is one of the areas the bear was seen foraging for food. Campers here say they tried making noises to scare the bear, but he showed no fear towards humans and refused to leave. Until the bear is gone, forest officials are temporarily closing the campground's 40 sites and day use area, and many have had their stay cut short, like Tanya Dubé and her family from Alberta, Canada.
We're heading back to Canada. We're going to try to find another campground for a couple nights before we head home, but we would have stayed another night for sure.
The campground will remain closed until the situation changes. Forest officials say it's a reminder of how important it is to put food away.
It's a reminder to all of us to the importance of securing food and any other attractants so that bears don't get a food reward and aren't habituated into coming to places that people like to recreate.
Reporting from Tally Lake Campground, Nicole Miller, MTN News.
And you can check out our website later tonight for more details on how to be bear aware. In other state news, a package of correctional reform bills passed in the 2017 legislature aims to reduce the amount of people in prison in Montana. In part 2 of a 4-part series examining these changes, MTN's Mackenzie Frost explores how a new professional board of pardons and parole is supposed to work toward this goal.
The new full-time professional parole board is comprised of individuals who have extensive knowledge in corrections and law enforcement. Governor Steve Bullock has appointed the 5 new members, including Chairman Scott Cruz, a former FBI agent, and Annette Carter, who worked for the Corrections Department on reentry programs for inmates. The old board, comprised of part-time volunteer members, made decisions based on recommendations from its own staff. Those recommendations often differed from those made by prison staffers who had closely worked with inmates on parole plans, allowing for inconsistencies in decisions.
When we don't use those same factors, it can be inconsistent and we might make mistakes.
An idea Montana State Prison's new warden, Michael Fletcher, is looking forward to as well.
Before, they've haven't been actively involved 365 days a year, and now they're giving us feedback on what we can do better, and there's a lot more of a collaborative effort between the two entities.
The idea is to create a clear path for low-risk inmates to gain parole if they meet certain requirements and have a plan to help them succeed outside of prison walls. Part of that plan is a risk and needs assessment for every criminal offender, also required by the new laws.
Now, using that risk assessment, we're going to be talking the same language. They're going to be looking at the programming that we're going to want people to have.
As part of its overall plan, state correction leaders are modifying data systems to track the success of offenders leaving prison or on supervision outside of prison. The parole board is just starting to discuss how it will measure the success.
But until we can really say that that's an accurate portrayal of how things are working out, we have to get all of these changes implemented and working together in concert before we'll really see how effective it's being.
As these changes are implemented, Board Chairman Cruz says he hopes one thing is known to each inmate, family member, and the public.
Everyone who comes before this parole board should expect to be treated the same way, fairly and consistently.
Of course, it's too early to know the effects of this change, but one thing is clear. The Parole Board and the Corrections Department say they want to be on the same page of finding a more consistent path for inmates to re-enter the community. In Deer Lodge, Mackenzie Frost, MTN News.
Tomorrow, we'll take a look at how these reforms are perceived by the people they affect the most directly, criminal offenders. And state officials tonight are warning residents about a fake licensing website. Recently, the Better Business Bureau has seen a rise of complaints across the nation regarding businesses that appear to be selling fishing and driver's licenses. These sites, in fact, only sell downloadable informational guides, which can cost almost as much as the license themselves. And online searches will often give a return that has deceptive sites listed alongside government ones. The Office of Consumer Protection investigator Marcus Meyer says these types of websites can often look like they're official, even though they're not.
The wording is going to be very similar on the sites as well, but they want to be aware of those extra fees or the hidden fees that are attached to those sites. So the best way to avoid that is to look for the .gov in the URL.
Meyer said residents should always read the fine print on the sites and contact government agencies directly if they think something is wrong. Coming up, isolated thunderstorms in the forecast this week. Aaron explains where we could see those and when. And in this week's Montana Made segment, we'll tell you about a Butte company revolutionizing the drilling world.